Jorge, what do you think of Madoo? I teased it. I used extra hairspray because this humidity is just disgusting. Oh, hey! Hi! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of Canada's Drag Race Season 1, Episode 2. And before we get started, of course, I want to thank some of my tipper dues, my PayPal tipper dues this week, because as you know from the links down below, if you feel that you got your money's worth, because it's free, out of my review and you'd like to tip me, well, then there are ways down below. Of course, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, and there's merch on Redbubble. So right now, I want to talk about my PayPal tipper dues. There were a lot this week, so I split them up. Some of them are on the Canada's Drag Race review. Some of them are on All Stars 5. I know y'all are watching both, so I know nobody will miss their name. But if I didn't say your name here, it's probably over there. I'm just saying. Right out of the gate, I want to thank Simon Ducharme. Very nice French name. I hope I said that right. That's how I say it anyway. It's like Beecham. Some people say Beauchamp, which is the correct way, and others say Beecham, and then you can get in trouble. I'm just saying. So Simon Ducharme, merci beaucoup, mon chéri. Also, Tan Drogue. It's Draig. I just want to call you Tan because it's hilarious, but I don't want to get your name right. So message me if you want on the Instagrams. Then let me know how you say it because I'm not the best pronunciator in the world. I also want to thank Kristen Young. She tipped me on PayPal, and David Welch was also somebody who stopped by PayPal. The links for that are down below if you're interested in giving me a tip, supporting the channel, all of that jazz. I also just want to send a shout out. Here's the thing. We've all been in quarantine, some places more than others, some places a little loosey-goosey with their restrictions, their rules, but one thing's for sure, the world is starting to open up again. And this is the thing. I've been so up my own rear end in quarantine. I mean, if I'm not interested in finding out about it, then I don't know what's going on. Mostly what I've been doing is informing myself about COVID-19 and educating myself on Black Lives Matter so I can be a better ally and understand the difference between lip service and actually taking action. And one of the places that I was so surprised to find this kind of help was over on the fantastic YouTube channel, IMHO, in my homosexual opinion. They do drag race reviews. They do a lot of stuff, but one of the things they've been doing lately is talking about being an active ally. And these two girls, Darby Lynn Cartwright and Auntie Chan, are in Chicago. And Chicago is one of those cities, maybe it's because it's close to Toronto and I hear more, I don't know, but I feel like they have their lion's share of race issues in Chicago. It's always been very divisive. Darby used to call herself Dixie Lynn in conversation with queens of color in the Chicago area. She realized that that's an offensive name and she's changed it to Darby. Good for her. She also works at a bar, and I can't remember what it's called right now, that apparently is not very welcoming to people of color. I don't know if it's blacks in general or just anybody who isn't dewy white. I don't know. But she's been talking not only to the owners of that bar, but to the drag queen community in Chicago. And they're trying to rectify, improve, change, stop it once and for all. That just this division within the community alone, the gay community alone, but in general in Chicago. And so what I've been really appreciating is they've been coming back with what they've decided on as a group, but also the things that Darby particularly has learned as a white person in the world. Because let's face it, white people have had it pretty good for a long time, regardless of who you are or how bad you think it is. It's worse. Trust me, we have nothing to complain about. So I just want to send a shout out to Darby and Chan. And if you have a free moment, check out their YouTube channel. I got a link down below, IMHO. Absolutely fabulous. Seriously, become an active ally. So, because I've been caught up in all that realness, things like the weather have slipped me by. I had no idea that Toronto was in a weather warning situation. In fact, it's a heat warning. Trust a Canadian city to have a warning about there being too much heat. Seriously. Careful out there today. We may hit double digits. Mind you don't break a sweat, eh? There. That's me making fun of Canada. Because if I can't make fun of me and where I live, then why the hell would I dare try and do it with anyone else? And I just would like to send a shout out to all my American fans and friends. Those of you that have taken offense and those of you that have supported me and defended me, in my opinion, unnecessarily. But I just want to say right off, for any American who's ever been offended by anything I say, and I've really only been saying things like that for the Drag Race, for Canada's Drag Race series, just because we are Canadian and there is a very different culture base there, and a lot of the Canadian culture is based on making fun of Americans. Now, that said, I make fun of everybody. If I don't like you, I don't make fun of you. That's who I am. But I always make fun of me first. So if for any reason I say anything dismissive or off the cuff, first of all, a lot of what I do is off the cuff. I'm not scripted. Second of all, it's very much of the moment, and I don't mean to say things that would insult somebody, for instance, making fun of America. I love America. The problem I have with America as a country has nothing to do with the people that live in it, well, except for one or two, but we know where they are. But that said, if I have offended any of you lovely Americans, please don't take offense. Please let me know how I offended you. And if it went beyond what would just be jovial ribbing, I will more than be happy to apologize to you. And for all of you that have been offended so far, well, suck it up. No, truly. If I do it and I'm not aware of it, then it would just hurt me to know it. One person apparently canceled their subscription because of it. So I just want to say, you are more than welcome to cancel a subscription. You are more than welcome to not watch my videos. But if you do like watching them and I do say something, please let me know. We don't learn unless we educate. There's that. So to fight the heat wave Toronto's in right now, I thought I'd fool my brain into thinking it was cooler by wearing something spring-like and fresh. Plus, I have a fan blowing me down below. Get your mind out of the gutter. Seriously. Here, hold this. All right, so let's get to it. Jorge, drink me. Ooh, what is this? It looks very... Where's my umbrella? It fell out. Oh, well, just leave it wherever it was. What is this? A Batanga. Ooh. Coke Zero and tequila. Because apparently we've run out of everything else. I'm just saying. Ooh. Olay! So, we started this episode off by saying goodbye to Juicebox, and to say that Lemon was upset about her elimination would be putting it mildly, but she didn't let that stop her from wiping her lipstick message off the mirror. Seriously. Scarlett Bobo was full of her feels over Juicy's elimination as well. The whole situation really brought it home to her that Drag Race is a competition and not just a good time. Can it be both? Of course, all the queens congratulated Rita not only for her win, but for having the first win on Canada's Drag Race ever. Well, everyone except Kyne, who, predictably, thought she should have won the main challenge. Seriously, what mirror is she looking in? All my mirrors are from Dollarama. Well, none of the other queens were having it. They couldn't believe that Kyne was that delusional, so they did the only thing they could do, which was frig off away from her and get out of drag. The next day in the workroom, Lemon was thrilled to be in the top 11, which I thought was a very healthy attitude to have on day 2. But Starzy was not going to let Lemon forget that to win that lip sync, she had to land in the bottom to do it. Thank God Rue's cryptic video message interrupted what I could only assume would have been Lemon getting the squeeze from Starzy. I'm so serious. Rue was paging for Dr. Penfield, which was a hint as to this week's Maxi Challenge. But while the queens were wondering what the hell that hint meant, there was Brooklyn with this week's mini challenge, which was designed to get these girls on their toes, literally. So the pit crew brought in their big pink pole. No, wait, sorry. It was a dance bar. That's right. I was distracted by the pit crew this week. And can I tell you why? No offense to last week's pits, but I like my pits a little older and a little hairier. I'm just saying. And what was this mini challenge, you ask? Well, the queens had to get into quick drag and then get into first position at the bar. My first position at a bar is usually on a bar stool with my boobs up, a song in my heart, and a smile on my face. My last position at a bar is usually face down on the floor. It's not pretty. Neither were some of these ballerinas, I'm so serious. Starzy set the bar, pun intended, pretty high during her audition. Lemon got goosed in the Bjork during hers, and I'm still not sure what the hell Rita was doing, I'm so serious. But who cares, because the star of this ensemble, for me, was Boa. And not because she's a good dancer, because she's not because she was the prettiest, because she wasn't. It was because of what she's rambling on, and it was like a cross between Abigail Breslin and Little Miss Sunshine and the Bee from all the Blind Melon videos. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it was Priyanka's turn. I don't know where she's seen ballet in her past, but the minute she got on her knees for her audition, I knew this wasn't going to be good. Well, good for TV anyway. So it was no surprise to me when the music box stopped that Starzy and Boa were announced as the mini challenge winners. And what did that mean? Well, they were the team captains for this week's acting challenge, which was to spoof the Canadian Heritage Minutes. Now, if you don't know what a Canadian Heritage Minute is, there's two good reasons for that. A, you probably didn't live in Canada in the early 90s. And B, no, I think that's just the only reason you would have known about these things. Seriously. The whole point of these Canadian Heritage Moments was not only to employ the film industry in Canada, but it was to educate Canadians on their own history, which is not an easy thing to do when there are so many big, shiny distractions south of the border. And who doesn't love a big distraction south of the border, especially when it's big and shiny? Of course, if you have something big and shiny south of your border, you might want to get it checked out by a doctor. So, for her team, Boa picked Priyanka, Kine, Scarlett Bobo, and Jimbo. And I just have to say, I was totally shocked that she picked Kine. And I wasn't the only one. Did you see that face on Priyanka when she said she wanted Kine on her team? Seriously, Priyanka should never play poker. Starzy picked Lemon, Rita, Kiara, and Tainomi, which left Ilona a lonely last. But the joke was on everybody else, because as the last queen standing, Ilona got to pick the team that she wanted to be on, and she picked Team Boa, much to Team Starzy's delight. Over on Team Boa, the queens got down to work by reading their script, the Muffragettes, and assigning parts. Ilona and Scarlett Bobo got cast as the lesbian twin musicians, Vegan and Tara, who sang all their lines in unison, much to Jimbo's chagrin. Now, I can't tell if Jimbo had a problem, particularly with Ilona and Scarlett, or if it was the quality of their singing. Either way, I felt like she used it to get into character as the old stick-in-the-mud judge. She's so method. Over on Team Starzy, things were moving along swimmingly. After a quick read of their script, I Smell Burnt Tux, parts were assigned to everyone's delight. Personally, I think they were all happy because there was no singing in their script. Team Starzy's secret weapon seemed to be Kiara, who admitted that she'd studied improv acting in high school. And because of her age, that was a hell of a lot more recent for her than some of these other queens. So she should remember it. Unfortunately, it also looked like Team Starzy had a not-so-secret weakness. Poor Tainomi Banks. You know, I predicted that her personality may be her Achilles heel in this competition. And it looks like I was right. Seriously. Over on Team Boa, Boa's memory had apparently left the building. Well, at least it had where Ilona's name was concerned, but it didn't bode well for all those lines she had to memorize. Just saying. But in all seriousness, Boa did admit that she suffers from ADHD. Bless. But that said, why'd she give herself a part with so many lines? Just saying. And then Brooklyn Heights dropped in to check on the Queen's progress. Her first visit was with Team Boa, who all seemed to be fairly positive and upbeat. Well, that was until Brooklyn called out Kine for her attitude on the runway last week, but it was okay, because Kine forgave her. What? God. Look at Priyanka's face right there. That says it all. It practically screams, I don't know her. Over on Team Starzy, Brooklyn brought up her concern over how nervous Tainomi had been during last week's challenge, and I can only hope that it was the kick in the padded butt that Tainomi needed to step it up. Seriously. And then Brooklyn Heights was off, but before she left the workroom, she told the queens that this week's guest host was Jade Hassouni from Shadowhunters. And again, I'm with the French queens on this one. None of the words that came out of Brooklyn Heights' mouth made sense to me. No offense to Jade Hassouni. What's a Shadowhunter? And then it was on to the highly cost-effective green screen studio to film their Canadian Heritage moments with Director of the Week, Jeffrey Boyer Chapman. Up first, Team Boa. And can I just say, thank God for Priyanka during this scene. She did an excellent job in spite of Boa's inability to memorize her lines. Vegan and Tara were a little lackluster too, but Jimbo's ability to roll with the punches, or in this case, kind slaps, was a hoot. All in all, there was nothing about Team Boa's scene that couldn't have been saved in the editing. And by that I mean Boa. The same, sadly, could not be said for Tainomi Banks' performance over on Team Starzy. But then, the cards were stacked against her. She was up against some really big personalities like Rita, Kiara, Starzy, and Lemon. I guess now it might have been a good idea to have Ilona on Team Starzy. It would have at least given Tainomi somebody to hide behind. And then it was Elimination Day, and this week's runway category was First Time in Drag. As the queens got ready, Kine shared with the room how supportive her family was with her being gay. Drag, on the other hand, sounded like it was a harder sell. Not so for Lemon. Her mother was thrilled because she could now officially start referring to her family by the name of a mixed fruit beverage. And yes, mixed fruit beverage was my drag queen name in high school. Sadly, the same cannot be said for Anastasia. Her experience growing up in the Bahamas was heartbreaking. Gay people being murdered or shot in the face opening their doors at night. Oh my God. And I can't believe Starzy herself had been shot. I also don't blame her for not wanting to talk about it. Who would want to? I mean, no one should have to live through an experience like that. But I have to say, I was very relieved to hear that Starzy was granted asylum here in Canada. And can I just say how proud I am of our country to offer asylum to people like Starzy? Seriously. And why wouldn't we? We got lots of space. So, with a big group hug and an acknowledgement to Canadian privilege, it was off to the main stage with this week's guest host, Jade Hassouni, who's as cute as buttons, by the way. And this week's category was Not My First Time, elevated versions of a first time in drag. And the first queen down the runway was Lemon. And can I just ask, when was her first time in drag? Last week? Because she looks exactly the same. Well, you know, she's wearing a better wig and a nicer gown now, but still, seriously. Now, Rita gave me exactly what I wanted. Rough first time drag. But the best thing about that is you can see how much she's grown. Seriously. Those sunflowers are huge. Tainomi was next, and here's another queen whose drag has been refined. She went from queen of them all to queen of the galaxy. Now, what's bigger than that? Kiara, the skinny legend, was next down the runway, and she was another queen I thought would look exactly the same because she's 12. But no, although the outfit and the body looked exactly the same, I was super impressed by the improvements that she made with hair and makeup. I mean, seriously, look how low that wig was, and I mean, she literally just has chapstick on. You have to make some kind of effort. Anastasia was a natural beauty, eh? And when you're a natural beauty, you have nowhere to go but up. Because makeup. But that said, I have to say, you can see why this queen is the current reigning, not used to be, current reigning Miss Black Continental. Now that's how you elevate a look. Boa was next, and first off, I just have to say, she took my breath away. I couldn't get over how beautiful she looked, especially with nothing to compare her to. And then we saw this picture of her in her first time in drag. Back alley hooker, indeed. Kind surprised me, but not in a good way. Her first time in drag looked way better than whatever it was she was serving on the runway this week. I mean, that purple Medusa, the eyes, all of it, stunning. This look here looked like Sandy from Grease, but the low-budget porn version. For me, the winner of Most Improved Drag was Priyanka. And how could she not be? Look at that before picture. She looks like a long stretch of hard road. And speaking of hard road, why was she walking so slow down the runway? I mean, that dress was fitted, but it wasn't that tight. Seriously. That's what my last boyfriend said. Speaking of back alley sluts, Scarlett Bobo still looks like one. It's just that alley's in a much better neighborhood now. Not only did she look hotter, but she actually was hotter thanks to her fire-eating act, something else she didn't do her first time in drag. Well, on purpose. Sadly, Ilona Verily was another queen that didn't impress me. I thought she looked way better in her first drag photo than she did on the runway. Seriously. What can I say about Jimbo except this look bothered me, which I think was the point. So good job, Jimbo, I'm just saying. And who else wasn't surprised that Jimbo's first time in drag was as a zombie? Explains a lot. And then it was time to watch the Queen's Heritage moments. Up first, Team Boa. And as I expected, all of Boa's memory issues were completely erased with the editing. And as fun as Jimbo was, I felt that the energy for Team Boa was a little lackluster. In fact, the only standout cast member for me was Priyanka. I thought she was a hoot. I mean, come on. She literally stuck her hand in Boa's mouth. It's got to be worth something. Team Starzy's Heritage moment didn't fare much better, but at least they had Rita and Kiara's physical humor to carry them through, which they needed because, as predicted, Tainomi was no help to anyone, including herself. Lemon, on the other hand, was this team's standout for sure, mostly because I wasn't expecting anything from her at all. Now that's how you steal a spotlight. I guess Kiara took Rita's crotch in the mushmaker for nothing. We've all been there. Then it was announced that Starzy and Aquay, Ilona Verily, Rita Baga, and Scarlett Bobo were safe, so they gladly frigged off. The rest of the queens were critiqued. Well, not so much Lemon. The judges loved her, and well, they should. Her drag was stunning. Her performance was hilarious. Let's be honest, there wasn't much to hate. As for Tainomi, Brooke, for one, did not like her runway, and it seemed that none of the judges were feeling her performance. Bless. Kiara's runway didn't impress the judges as much as her performance in her Heritage moment, but she did get a personal runway tip from Stacey McKenzie, so it can't be all bad. Boa's runway was generally liked by the judges, but Stacey was waiting for some drama. Seriously? Boa's waist cinch like that wasn't dramatic enough? I mean, one burp and her head could have blown right off. I'm so serious. Khan was next, and she already looked like she was dreading this critique, which is good because the judges went in deep, eh? Her performance in the Heritage moment was forgettable. Her runway wasn't elevated, and when Stacey asked her if she liked her own outfit and Khan said yes, well, Stacey looked confused. That's not a good sign. Everybody loved Priyanka, as well they should, and even though her runway walk was oddly slow, it gave them time to drink her all in, and so they should. Last but not least was Jimbo, who was another fave with the judges. In fact, her only critique was that she played the judge too small. Seriously, go big or go home, Jimbo. And then the queens untucked backstage with the safe girls, where all the tea was spilled, and Boa was brought up to speed on what lag meant. Not leg boa, lag. Of course, Kine was shocked that Brooklyn was so harsh with her. Of course, she probably thinks it's retaliation for her attitude last week. But come on! Look at this picture here. I can see the elastic in her wig there. How is this look elevated, I ask. And then the queens returned to the main stage where it was announced that this week's winner was Lemon. And finally, calm down, it's only week 2, a makeup endorsement. She won $5,000 of Anastasia of Beverly Hills makeup. Yes, I would call that a sickening amount. And that left Kine and Tainomi in the bottom. And they had to lip sync to Stars on 45's If You Could Read My Mind. And can I just say, I would have sent them both home. This was a boring lip sync. I can't believe that we had to sit through it. There was really no performance even. It was mostly them just walking around and pointing and stuff. If I had to give one of them the edge, it would have been Tainomi, because there was something about her connection when she was looking at the judges that seemed a little more genuine. And at least she did the splits. So when the music died, it was no surprise to me that Tainomi Banks had won the lip sync, although she got super emotional before they announced it. In fact, she was crying so hard that Kine had to come over and tell her to stop, because they were about to tell her she was going home and that Tainomi was ruining her moment. And I have to say, in that moment, Kine did the impossible. She made me like her again, which is no small feat after week 1, I'm so serious. So there you go, another queen gone. Do you agree with the judges? Do you think that Kine was the one to go home? Or do you agree with me and think that they should have both gone home? Either way, I hope that this lights a fire under Tainomi Banks' butt, because she is a much better queen than she is coming off in this competition. I'm so serious. Boa's personality seems to be keeping her on the right side of safe, but how long can she rely on that? All we can do is tune in to Canada's Drag Race next week to see how it all plays out. And then when you're done, you come on back and you see me, so you and I can compare notes. Now, don't forget to like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. When we were taping this, we were less than 25 away from 5,000 subscribers. I can't believe it. So thank you to all of you who've subscribed so far. And to the rest of you, what the heck is wrong with you? You know you want to. Come on. Also, don't forget I have links in the description box down below for how you can tip me on PayPal, support me on Patreon, or buy some of my fabulous merch on Redbubble. And until next week, miss me. Mwah! Seriously, boring. I love this tequila and Coke. So yummy.